Let's make sure on the
Where can we watch?
it's on YouTube, and there's a spicy little group of people commenting. So I'm grateful. There is an ad playing right now, but we're gonna just check that we're live before we're live. Because I've done that before. I've messed up and not been live. I might be.
That's life. I think we are. I can see our faces on YouTube.
Yay! Hooray! Wonderful. Welcome to Fridays with Friends. My name is Zilla Vodnas, and I have fantastic guests tonight. I was just interviewed, but I didn't do my hair for the interview. So now, welcome. I did my hair, and I'm also wearing glasses without lenses. Because, this is the type of show we're going to talk politics tonight. And I have such great guests. I had to do something, like bien cute. I wanted to be like, okay, I was that kid in high school. Totally that kid that dressed up crazy all the time. But welcome to the show as a part of New Latin Waves programming. I'm so glad to be here. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview. I don't know. Sound off in the comments. I'm here with two fantastic guests, Bethany Van Delft and Fabrizio Copano. And I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Bethany, will you go first?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm Bethany.
Boom.
Okay, like better than that. Oh my God.
I think that was great.
That was fine, right? It was to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's me. I'm Bethany Van Delft. That's my name.
Simple woman.
Okay. Fabrizio, tell me about yourself.
Well, let me put my fake glasses too. So that's the only way to talk about politics. You need to look serious. I'm a comedian and a philosopher, of course, because where are we if we're not philosophers? And I am from Chile, from South America. I'm Latino. So please include me in everything. Be inclusive. So yeah, that's my story.
That was really good. I'm a really big fan of that one.
And by through omission, I heard that you're not a fan of mine, and that's okay. I wouldn't be either. I wasn't a fan of my introduction. I hear you.
Okay. So now let's go to the backgrounds. What is going on with the backgrounds? Tell me about your space, Bethany.
This is our wall of life. Like everything the kids do, every picture we take, it gets put up on the wall, and it feels extremely chaotic. If I don't have this purple gel on it, then it's just like see. But if I have the purple gel on it, then
amazing.
Mood lighting.
Can I say something? There's something about I don't know if you ever heard of this concept called vision boards.
Oh yes, that's why I like it. That's why I'm a big fan.
It's kind of like a vision board, but you want to be a kid. That's like your vision.
Exactly. It's probably also my reality. I'm a child who takes advice from David Bowie and misses Prince terribly.
Awesome.
That's the child. Tell us about your background.
Well, my background have a window here that I bought online in eBay. I have a light in the back.
Wepa, mood lighting, changing colors. I see you.
That's because of I think to be a professional streamer, you need this. It's part of what you need. And what else? Well, this is where Anna Frank hid during the dark times in Germany. So that's another fun fact about this little room.
So, of course, one of us is lying.
What is this? Wait, don't tell.
So one of us is lying. Who do you think it is? I really do like, what's crazy though, is that the way Twitch works. So Bethany, remember, okay, so 2 weeks ago, Bethany was on my show on Comedy Hub called Zillavision, and people were like, are they fighting? Do they like each other? So Bethany texts me and during the show and goes, are you mad at me? And I was like, no, but they love the drama. Let's pretend we're mad at each other. And we totally pretended we were mad at each other on Twitch, and it worked. They ate it up. But your background is actually really relatable to most streamers. So you have, out of me and Bethany, you have the perfect streamer background. Because it's like it's a place where you inhabit. It feels like a real space. Where Bethany and I are in dream spaces. Fabrizio, you are in a space.
I mean, do you think I'm more grounded? That's what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm saying. You're more grounded, and that's like, you ever notice, Fabrizio, how the TikToks, the busted ones, they do the best because it's relatability. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly. That's the real success in the internet, is being real. That's what people are looking for, reality.
Absolutely.
To escape from reality.
But then there's also the non-reality of the internet, which is that outside of this frame, chaos, absolute chaos, a mess. Chaos.
What is going on out there? It's just...
In this space, I'm touching the kitchen because I live in New York. So kitchen, touching the kitchen. Right now, touching my panties in the bedroom. That's how small this apartment is. That's how small my space is. But that's okay. All right. So let's get started. If you guys are joining us with New Latin Wave, Fridays with Friends is a comedy talk show. So we're all going to chat together at the top about topics, current events, and then we're going to get our own time to do some comedy. And I'm very excited tonight because, wow, what a news cycle. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the loosening, the federal relaxation of mask wearing, which is now, if you are vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask per the CDC in most situations, okay? Everybody got a different level of comfort with that, but that was coming from the federal level. On the state level, I live in New York, and Cuomo is insisting that we keep the New York mandate, which is much more strong than the federal now, which means that people are required to wear their mask indoors, etc. And I believe that is because 8 of the Yankees tested positive for COVID.
Really? I feel like tasting positive from COVID now is kind of like lame. It's like, it's too late for that.
Mira tú, cuidado. You're going to be like...
I'm vaccinated and I have 6 shots because I'm Latino, so we need more protection. And the thing is like, yeah, I read that Bill Maher also got COVID and I was like, too late. It's not exciting anymore, guys.
Okay, but Fabrizio, will you be wearing... all right, you're vaccinated, so no mask?
Let me say this. I love mask as a thing. Not even like I said about health. I love the idea of wearing a mask. It makes me feel more comfortable out there. Make me feel I can smell my own breath. So make me feel more connected with myself in a way. And I don't know. I feel that it's like having more accessories, It's like something you can match with your clothes. I like face mask. But I have to say today I have the first time I went to the bank and I forget my mask. And I was like, damn. But then I remember I don't need it anymore. So that was a moment of like, oh, okay. But then I got inside of the place and I was super nervous. I was like feeling... I mean, probably that's the way people in Florida that never wear a mask and didn't care felt judged by other people. Even it was like not a problem anymore. I felt like a little bit judged by the faces of other people. But yeah, that was my day.
Okay. All right, Bethany, weigh in.
I agree that it is too late to be getting COVID. Okay. It is. That ship has sailed. All right. You were cool when you got COVID like 6 months ago. Now, you could have a vaccine. You wear mask. Everybody knows better. So just stop it. That's first of all. Second of all, if the CDC says, okay, so if you're fully vaccinated now, you don't have to wear a mask anyplace. Does the CDC remember the people who have not been wearing masks the whole time, believing deeply in lies, and refusing to get the vaccine. Does the CDC remember those people? Because those people are going to be walking around still not wearing masks, not having a vaccine, and then lying about the whole thing. So I don't know. Part of me is like, part of me, this is natural selection. Like, I thought it was going to happen faster, but this is how it's going to happen. We're all vaccinated. They're going to keep going around not being vaccinated, and all the variants are just going to keep bouncing off of each other like a pinball machine. But now I read a new conspiracy theory amongst them.
Okay.
That they are now not letting vaxxed people into their businesses because they believe that vaxxed people shed virus.
Oh, I read that.
Makes women infertile. So now they're putting signs up in their windows and saying, if you're vaxxed, you can't come in.
Wow.
I think it still could work. I still think natural selection could still work. It could still.
I'm very confused because like the other theory was the microchips, and the other theory was the one about they're supposed to, like, if you got the vaccine, you should be like mind control. I think it was the same one. Yeah.
Mind control, microchips, and now it's shedding virus.
Well, how are you gonna shade, like, you can't have both. You can't have, like, you have to choose one storyline. That's what I'm trying to tell to like conspiracy theories. It's like you can't have the vaccine and microchips and then you're shredding microchips. Like that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It's why people stop watching your show after like the third episode, is you can't keep a storyline straight. But I will say that having a 4-year-old person living in the house, I can see where it comes from, right? So if you ask him a question, especially if he thinks, he wasn't supposed to be doing it. If I'm like, Nico, did you put my sneakers in the toilet? He'll be like, no. And I'll be like, they're in the toilet. And he'll be like, they are in the toilet. Did you do it? I didn't do it. Lulu did it. Lulu's not here. Well, maybe I did it, but my platypus told me to do it. Like, and so the story has to keep
evolving,
with your question. So maybe conspiracy theory is 4-year-old philosophy.
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad guess. Conspiracy theory, I'm just sad that they took away from the chupacabra. Like, I love me a good conspiracy theory. What is this with these fucking dangerous conspiracy theories? When they thought there was a chupacabra in the Latin American countryside, I could get down with that. I was in Puerto Rico that summer. We were terrified. The sun would go down. We would just stay in the house.
Well, that's in the family of the Loch Ness monster. I mean, it's in the family of like the good monsters. I remember, like, and probably like the Chileans watching this, there was one Chilean myth that is called El Trauco. It's a whole story about this small man that raped a lot of women. That's the myth. So this conspiracy theory was super dark, but it was sold to us like something a part of the culture. It was like, in these islands of the south of Chile, you have this small man, when women disappear, he has sex with them, and it was kind of like a fairy tale when we were growing up. So I mean, I'm glad that those kind of characters now they got in the basket of conspiracy theory.
That's a scapegoat. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not a good chupacabra goat, a scapegoat.
That is exactly what that sounds like. But I think Americans will ruin every conspiracy theory or crazy story, especially Latin ones, because they made a La Llorona movie and it was awful.
Oh, horrible.
Nobody wanted that. Okay, so next news story. Hackers, como la Angelina Jolie. Yeah, I love that movie. Hackers, they hacked into the pipeline, and there was a gas shortage. And Americans have been spotted hoarding gas, buying gas in bulk. And, of course, there was a story of a person who filled a Hummer with gasoline and then tried to smoke as they drove away, and they lit the car on fire. And, of course, that happened in Florida. Give it up for Florida, being Florida. But what do you feel about the idea that there is an online contingent that will manipulate supplies and people's reactions to that. People hoarding. There's not actually a gas shortage yet, and they're gonna fix it. But why do you think people behave the way they do in those situations? Bethany, go first. What do you think about people hoarding gas?
It's the same. It's panic buying. It's the same as hoarding toilet paper. They're gonna have all the toilet paper, all the gas. I don't know. I will tell you though, the thing that is more freaky to me is that a pipeline got hacked.
Yes. Word.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. And then if you go to like Sears, they'll try to sell you a smart fridge. And I'm like, no, I don't need my fridge getting hacked. Like, I just don't. I don't need that. I don't need it. I already freak out about every other thing in the whole world. Like, I have a little camera cover on my computer. I fold it. I put it away. I don't need my fridge getting hacked. That's what. So when I heard about the pipeline getting hacked, I was like, I told you. I don't know. I don't even know. Do you know that baby monitor that you put in a baby's room?
But this story is hilarious. Not really, but terrifying, but also hilarious.
It's horror. It's horrible. It is hilarious, okay? But it is horrible, and it's also, dude, you seriously can't think of anybody else to hack. People hacked into baby monitors.
Yeah, that's insane.
And would just go, wake up, baby! Like,
yeah, what kind of hacker is that? You know, it's like, what kind of Mr. Robot is like wasting his time hacking?
He went to school for computer programming to wake up a baby.
Wake up babies. I have to say, like, for me, they
Howard, you just can't wake up a baby face to face. What? I don't know.
I love the idea of trying to explain to Joe Biden that the pipeline was hacked. Can you imagine? He's like 79 or something. Can you imagine those people have that job? It's like, Mr. President, the pipeline got hacked. He's like, what, gas goes through the internet? How that's supposed to work? You know, it's very confusing for everyone. But imagine for him at his age.
He's like, with a hatchet?
No, Mr. President. But that's the crazy world we live right now. Like, okay, the guy in charge, and like even like Congress, it's all these old people have no connection with what's going on with hacking stuff, or like what's going on in other countries, you know, hacking supply. It's just like insane that these people are in charge. You know, people who don't even know what hack means.
No, and he's gonna call you like Scout or Dipsy Doodle or Buddy or Champ, because you know that's how the president talk right now. He's like the like, you know, I wouldn't dare take a beautiful title such as Abuelito and put it upon our president, because he's not even on that. Like, there is a bizarre thing that happens. So I think a lot of the boomers, the baby boomers, are out of touch with how old they actually are. The other day I was talking to my father, and we were arguing because he wanted to get vaccinated, and then he changed his mind. He didn't want to get vaccinated. And he said, Mira, I'm going to wait until they take care of all of the old people. And I was like, Papi, newsflash, you the old people. Everybody above you is dead. You know what I mean? Like, Biden has no clue.
No time to wait, sir.
No, he thinks he's a youngster. And I think I absolutely agree with you, Fabrizio, that it is incredibly problematic that everybody is so old.
It's gonna be worse with us, because think about our generation. We never wanted to be old, so we're gonna be old and be on like the new TikTok thing, trying to be part of it. You know?
Oh, the TikTok president? No, don't speak that into.
That's gonna happen.
Do not manifest that.
It's gonna happen.
Not in the Anne Frank room. That shit might actually happen. You know, that's a sacred room.
I know the energy here. The energy in this room. I can feel it.
All right.
He bought the window with anti-bad spirit on it, though. He's bought an anti-negativity.
Oh, he bought that window in the Botanica.
That's why the window, yeah.
Yeah, with the velitas. Get some candles. Then you'll be really safe. That's how my mom thinks of it. All right. So, next topic. Speaking about the exorbitant waste of money in this country, Jeff Bezos just bought a $500 million yacht. okay, to impress his girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. And frankly, I knew he was overcompensating, but there's nothing going on below deck if you got to spend $550 million on a yacht. Sound off on Jeff Bezos, please. Bethany, go first.
You know that the Washington Post was sold in 2013 for $250 million. For half of the cost of that super yacht, you could have owned a newspaper.
God damn, Bethany with the... You just burned me with that.
She brought the math. She brought the math. She brought the facts.
That's all I did. That one fact. I don't know, man, but I'll tell you what, okay? He's not just buying that one vessel. He's getting a whole fleet. There's a support yacht with a submarine and like cars and shit. That just sounds like some Noah's Ark shit, but with just billionaires and not animals. Like they know there's something afoot. They know it. And they're building their ocean floating city.
Oh, Dike Waterworld. Watch out, Kevin Costner.
This is Waterworld. Yeah, exactly. He's like buying battleships in real life. I you know what I was thinking the other day, because I'm getting like slightly bold. I'm going.
Mira, I can't see it on the Zoom. Don't show them. No.
Let me show you. Let me show you here. You can see it now. You can see it now.
I can see it. Yes.
So the thing is, like, I was like, maybe I should like get some products, because my Instagram listened to my conversations, so they were like starting sending me all these ads for hair products, and then I started thinking, if these hair products were real, Jeff Bezos will have hair. He have more money than anyone on the planet. So obviously this is bullshit, because if that guy is bald, there's no way to not be bald. That
is brilliant.
That's what I thought.
That's very sound. Okay. Very sound.
That, and also half of the products that you purchase on Amazon are almost always frauds, like fraudulent off brands or replaced brands. So even if you did buy, that's fantastic. Thank you. Sound advice. And also, I'm just so bothered by how uncool he is. I think Jeff Bezos is incredibly uncool. Like, how you don't isn't that what the plot of the 80s movies? You get a cool kid to hang out with you and teach you how to be cool. At this point, you got this much money for $550 million. You think that yacht's going to make you cool? Just, pay $100,000 from a lovely person from Brooklyn, a real New Yorker, or a really cool person from Mexico City. Take your pick. Paris, anywhere. They can teach you how to be cool. But no, instead, he's going to buy a fucking yacht. What a beast.
And an animal. And I think you don't have time to figure out how to be cool when you're being a billionaire. Maybe because is Elon Musk cool?
He's not
at all.
Okay, not at all. Not at all.
I hate these rich people. I just hate them so much. I hate Elon Musk. I hate Jeff Bezos. I hate I have to say, I hate Elon Musk a little bit more, because he's trying to be the cool guy.
Absolutely. I'm with you on this.
And by the way, all the people who are talking about Bitcoins are the most horrible people in the world. Everyone that is obsessed with Bitcoins is just, it disgusts me right away. I don't want Bitcoins. I want to go backward. I want gold. That's what I want. I want pieces of gold. I want minerals from Earth. I don't want like a number in a machine that telling me that I'm rich. So that's my way of thinking.
I feel like that's digital crack. That's like the crack problem of the 80s in digital.
The opioid crisis of
it's gonna take everybody down, like listening to everybody with their magic NFT get rich quick schemes,
But here's the deal. What Fabrizio is talking about is that in order to create something like a Bitcoin or a Dogecoin, you have to do a massive disservice to the environment, because you have to create the electricity that generates that
Argentina generates to mint one NFT. It takes the electricity that Argentina generates in a year.
So what bothers me
Is that crazy?
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah. And what bothers me
for an NFT, if you tell me like, you're making a spaceship with all that energy. No, you're making like, what the fuck is that?
A thing that isn't
number.
It's total crazy bullshit. It's
get me angry.
um, well, but as you said, so the reason I don't like Elon is because he uses the environment as a rationale for Tesla, which is valid. Electric cars, but accessible electric cars for all, not this bougie electric car bullshit. But then he goes ahead and co-signs Dogecoin, which is much more detrimental to the environment. So it's like, no, bro, you just are picking and choosing what your belief is. And also, the pursuit to go to Mars is essentially to screw over this planet to get to the other planet.
That's the whole concept behind it. It's not like, oh, let's go to like experiment another civilization, see what's going on, and like, curiosity. It's not out of curiosity. It's like escaping from the planet that you destroyed.
No, and he like my favorite is like, oh, you too can go to Mars, but only if you work off the cost of going to Mars. And it's like, oh, you mean slavery?
Indentured astronaut.
Yes. What is that? That is terrible. Okay, so I am very much a big fan of terrible shows like Primer Impacto, and we're gonna get gossipy right now. Let's sound off on Benifer. La Benifer.
Together?
Oh my God, girl, let me break it down for you. So maybe I just, maybe New Latin Wave just hosted me, inviting you all to the house with me so that I can give you the chisme. So J-Lo is, of course, she left A-Rod. This sounds like a Bitcoin code. J-Lo left A-Rod. What is that? That is not a sentence. But now she's single, and she was spotted in Montana with Ben Affleck. And so Benifer is making a comeback. But also, what do you think about the obsession with celebrity relationships?
The world's obsession with it?
Yeah, why do you think that's... Look at all of the shit that's going on. Let's not deny the biggest thing going on is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, right? Biggest thing. And yet, for some reason, the pandemic. Maybe pandemic, conflict.
Benifer.
You better stop saying...
And then the pandemic. Yeah, I got to say that I think the times have changed. I think it's time to put, instead of Benifer, start with Jenny. It's like, start with Jennifer Love, like Jenny Ben, or like something.
Benjamin.
Now we're talking. That's like 2021 couple.
Benjamin Lofleck.
Oh. Oh my God. Benjamin Lofleck, you heard it here first, New Latin Wave. But truly though, because I know in comedy, there's a lot of scandals that like bubble up. What is the obsession with people's relationships after such, because here's the deal. There was no positive out of the pandemic, meaning like I would never like say that it should happen because we learned anything. Like I wouldn't wish that on any timeline, a pandemic. But one of the interesting things about the pandemic was that we shifted from celebrity news and we began to do things like, estupidez, like banging pots and pans for essential workers when we weren't going to give them a living wage. You know what I mean? But like at the very least, our celebrities became real people. What is now? I feel like things are opening back up. They're loosening the mask mandates. And then people are like, oh, yeah, by the way, news is Benifer. That's bullshit. There's so much more going on in the world.
I mean, hasn't it always been that way, though? I think, I don't know, it's more palatable to think about somebody's future failing relationship than the real
so you're saying it makes us feel better. Because we're like, oh, look at J-Lo looking for love.
Looking for love. And then whatever level you're on that makes you feel good. You could be like, oh, maybe they're going to make it this time. Or maybe it makes you feel good to be like, they're not going to last. There's no way they could last. And, however assessing it makes you feel. it gives you something to think about besides the real shit.
You're right. I think you're right.
Right?
Also, like Sila, I have to say that, to be honest, I like this a little bit more than during the Trump administration, where everything was like so heavy and like, I like this little break of Bennifer. Give me some Bennifer after all this, and maybe it's gonna happen more and more. We're gonna like have a little moment of like, let's stop thinking that much. And I know it's not the best because we have this horrible thing happening in Palestine, but at the same time, it's like we need a little bit of a break, and maybe it's healthy to just put our energies in Bennifer. I'm talking about putting my energies. I have to go to put my baby to sleep right now, so I'm gonna have to say bye. But my little son, he's not aware of all this craziness that's going on. So before putting him to bed, I'm gonna whisper him the worst news of the week, so he's aware of what's going on. He's not a Bennifer fan or anything like that. So thank you so much, Sila. Nice to meet you, Bethany. I gotta go.
Wonderful to have you. Thank you so much.
Next time, Sokio, tell me the times of this before, so we can schedule this smarter way. I love you both. It was great.
Always a pleasure.
Keep going.
All
bye
right.
Bye, Dada. Bye, baby.
Fantastic. Okay, so now it's just me and you.
It's me and you.
Las comadres. I don't know if you knew this, but before, Bethany actually asked Fabrizio a question. I was like, that's right. She takes over for me sometimes.
Sorry. I asked about his background.
Mira, no, that's not a bad thing.
You know what I was? I was trying to duck out of my own situation. And I was like, yes, this, but what about you?
But also, it's okay if you like take the reins sometime. I don't know. One time, do you remember I had like tech issues and you took over for me?
My mama jeans just came flying out.
No, and also you're the homegirl.
What's happening? And I was like, I got you. That's a mom thing. If I see somebody fall now, I didn't used to laugh at people that fell, right? Like I would say, are you okay? And then if they said they're okay and they cracked a smile, then I would laugh. But now, no, like somebody trips or stumbles or even smacks their lips. I'm like, are you thirsty? Do you need some water? Like, it's a mess.
It's not a mess.
But I will co-host with you any day. If that ever comes up, I'm in.
Okay, so one of the things that Fabrizio did that I don't think you were afforded the forum, but tell us a little bit about your background. Not your background, actual. Tell us about your lineage and how that relates to New Light and Wave. Because for y'all who don't know, New Light and Wave is this awesome curatorial machine that just picks and chooses wonderful voices from the diaspora, and Bethany is one of them. So go ahead, Bethany. Tell us about your voice.
Well, this voice is made by whiskey and cigarettes. My mother is Puerto Rican, right? I was born in Puerto Rico too. I was born in the capital in the Bronx a while ago, but my mother is Puerto Rican, born in Puerto Rico. Her family's from Loíza, and she's Black. She's a beautiful Black woman born in Puerto Rico. And Zilla, you know how many times I've heard, oh my God, wait a minute. How could you be Black and Puerto Rican? And, I could scream, slavery, what were you doing in world history? But I don't do it. I'm just chill. I'm like, you could be Black in anything. Did you know that? Like Blade? Oh my God. just like look out in the world, man. So that's where I'm coming from. My mother's Puerto Rican, my dad's Dutch. And we don't know anything about my dad's side. He's just he's a very secretive, odd kind of person. I love him. But we don't know anything about his Dutch side. He never talked to us about it. And I never pursued it. I never pursued looking for it. I kind of avoid it because I'm afraid I'm going to go down my family tree like 400 years and discover that my Dutch ancestors kidnapped my African ancestors and dropped them off in Puerto Rico. And that would make alone time with my dad like seriously awkward. You know what I mean, right? It would be fucked up. Like we'd be at brunch and I'd be like, hey daddy, please pass the Dutch slave coast. I mean avocado toast. Like it would
Oh,
just I wouldn't even I don't want to know about it, so I sacrificed my Dutch, knowing about my Dutch side. But that's it. Yeah, I was raised with my mother in New York with my Puerto Rican family. She didn't raise us speaking Spanish. I have no idea why. But like, and some of my cousins my age also, their mothers did not raise them speaking Spanish, but we had the thickest Spanish accent living there. There were words, mostly food words, that we couldn't say in English. Like we had no idea, right? Someone would come over and go, "Oh, what's this flavor?" And I'd be like, "Culantro." They'd be like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's this. I don't know what, and I don't know what is spelled. I don't know. It's this. It's, so this odd kind of Spanglish." And then we moved to Boston, and they didn't know what a Puerto Rican was here. They had never heard of one until Benifer, and
call
until the Red
back.
Sox started knocking boots at the Yankees, they didn't even know what a Puerto Rican was. So I learned how to stop saying chocolate and walk and talk. And I say chocolate and walk and talk. And then also my name is Bethany Van Delft. So people are like, they don't think I'm Puerto Rican until either one of two things. I have a couple of bourbons, or they just start talking some entitled, crazy, stupid shit. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me tell you something. And then it just like comes pouring back out. And I gotta put it back because I live in Red Sox land.
Okay, first of all, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for running us down. Did you know though that in the 50s, have you read The War Against All Puerto Ricans? In the 50s, there was a campaign because I'd be like, Mom and Dad, why did you not teach me Spanish? And it was
Operation Bootstrap.
yes, it was the telling Puerto Ricans that they needed to speak English in order to be successful. So my father raised me in New York because he didn't want me to have an accent. That dingbat. You know how that worked out. But I really love your story, and like one of the reasons that I love you so much. Is that in comedy it's always very awesome, and one of the reasons I love Fabrizio so much is that it's so dope to see someone who is bringing their history and story to comedy. So this takes us to our very last question before I'm going to give you the forum to do your set. How does it feel to be Latinx, Latino, however it is that you identify? How does it feel in comedy to, like you said, where it's like you're bringing your voice to the table? What is that like?
I'll tell you, there was this guy, right? I won't say his name, but I'll give you enough information that you know. He used to book the Letterman show, right? He would come and do these showcases, and we'd all do our best 5 minutes, and then he'd sit in a corner, in like a dark corner, and then one by one would go up to him, and he'd give us our feedback, right? And I auditioned for him like 3 times, and I'm being really honest when I say I was not upset that I didn't get it, because it was early enough on that I didn't feel ready to get a thing like that anyway, right? But the opportunity was there, so I said okay, but I didn't feel like I was ready for it. But what really upset me is he would say shit like, you get up there, you say I'm half Puerto Rican, I'm half Dutch, my Dutch ancestors, and you talk about slavery, and nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear about that. I'm half this and I'm half that. They want to hear about you. You got to talk about you. And I'd be like, what an entitled, fucking privileged way of thinking about somebody's identity. My identity in this country run by you fucking assholes is absolutely entrenched in being half black, half white, half Puerto Rican, half Dutch, because y'all don't let me not be it. So to then turn around and say, nobody wants to hear about that. We want to hear about you, but you don't let me be anything but that. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely infuriating. And of course, don't tell those jokes anymore. I told them even more. I just tightened them up. I polished them. I figured out what made them, like, how could I make this joke that is so uncomfortable for people that don't want to think about this shit? just so tight that they have to admire it. You know what I mean? And that's just what I keep doing. If there's something I feel like I gotta talk about because of my upbringing, then I just find a way to make it funny. And I find that kernel of universality. Is that a word? I don't know, but I try to find the piece that everybody could relate to without their racism or the misogyny or whatever it is, It's,
Which
I don't know.
did you watch that video? So if
Oh my
for
God.
the okay, so I know I'm not trying to throttle y'all with like comedy world bullshit, but real quick, there was an incredible instance of racism in comedy this week. It was documented. It's online. You could check it if you want to. I'm not going to speak on it in depth because it's that awful.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. So what you encountered, for someone to tell you that specifically your story about being Black, Latino, Dutch is invalid, is a form, not violent racism, but is a form of racism. Racism is a spectrum, right?
Yep.
So what do we do as comics, storytellers, entertainers in the face of racism? And connecting that even to the conflict between Palestine and Israel. What is our job? What do you think a comic is responsible for?
I think responsible is a loaded word.
Okay.
Because I think that every comedian, every artist has to do what's right for them. Because I don't like this idea that as people of color, Latinos, Black people, Asian people, that we are given the burden, the responsibility of carrying our whole marginalized group on our shoulders. Because white people don't have that. You know what I mean? White people don't have to carry their whole group on their shoulders. They get to be individuals and artists and take as much responsibility and talk about important things however they choose to. So I think we should be allowed to do that too. As far as in our comedy and in our artwork, So I feel like if you're Black and you don't want to talk about George Floyd or racism and you want to talk about some other stuff, that's your prerogative. But when
yes, you're absolutely right. It's for others to take up as allies.
Exactly.
Yes.
But when you see something like the video that you're talking about, I believe with my whole heart that as humans, it is our responsibility to call that shit out. So the next person that speaks after that guy happens to be a comedian. So I think that not as a comedian, but as a human, it is that person's responsibility to call that shit out, say something about that, And if the host doesn't do it, then the next comic should do it. And if they don't do it, then the manager should it is everybody's responsibility to call that shit out. I don't think it's specifically as an artist, our responsibility, but I do believe as a person, when you see that, yes, you must call that out.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Also, I have the firm belief, I know people think that anything at any time could be funny. There are people who are believe that comedy is like free reign. I do not think there is any place personally in comedy for hate speech. I don't think that's a joke. I think it's very dangerous. And I frankly think that people cloak their hate speech under the guise of comedy and use that to do hate speech. Pretty much
Because
what
that comedy is never about their group, right? When they're saying no, everything is free range, right? The thing that they're joking about is not their group. If they were hate speeching them own self, then yes, do that. You better than anybody. Hate speech your own group. Well, I actually know, only if you're white people though. I don't want to hear hate speech attacking somebody's own group, any other group.
No, because that's problematic too. Because it reminds me.
People talk. You can hate speech your own selves.
Well, it reminds me of once I performed for a club, just like you were saying, where it's like you perform to see if they'll maybe put you in the rotation. And the criticism that the woman gave me was, I need you to be more Puerto Rican. You know, like, do you get what I mean? There is also the pitfalls of so much of your jokes being your culture that it's detrimental to your culture. So I understand how it's nuanced, it's a slippery slope, and but there's definitely no. You cannot look. The way I feel about race jokes is the way I feel about my mama. I can make fun of my mama as the day is long, but the minute you start making fun of my mama, it's a problem, and I'm gonna need you to stop doing it.
That is right. You said something about when someone says be more Puerto Rican, right? Like if they say that, they're booking you because they need diversity or whatever they need, right? And so they need you to be more, heighten their idea of Puerto Rican. I got booked for or not. I did get booked, but when the person first asked me, it was someone from Comedy Central. They're like, we're doing this Latino thing for Comedy Central, and you're Puerto Rican, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, do you have material about being Puerto Rican? I said, you know it. And she's like, great. 5-minute set, da-da-da. She didn't even ask me for tape. We show up the day for taping, and I just did my regular old set. And she, without really much mention of being Puerto Rican, except for probably the blade joke, right? And then afterwards, she was not that happy with me. But the set killed, so she was medium happy with me. But she's like, I thought you were gonna do stuff about being Puerto Rican. I said I did. I talked about my life, and I'm Puerto Rican, so everything I talk about is about being Puerto Rican. And she was like, "Oh,
you got me." It's hard. It is very difficult.
I like how you left it there.
To tell a joke.
Hard, but you're like,
it is very difficult to tell a joke about the Puerto Rican experience because there are multiple experiences. And I'm not saying this is exclusive to Puerto Rico. I'm saying that when you are a member of a colonized culture, there is look, man, I don't need to take a 23andMe to know that a good portion of me is rapist. You feel me? Look at my skin. Colorism is a fucking thing. So it's like you every perspective. That is why diversity is important, because you need to have a Black Puerto Rican. You need to have a Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico. You need to have a Puerto Rican American, a Puerto Rican from Philly, a Puerto Rican from New York. They're different. Do you get what I mean? A Puerto Rican from Boston. And I think that's what fails comedy, is that
you get one. White people get one, and they think that speaks to the experience, but it doesn't. But it's infuriating, but don't you think it's like even more exponentially infuriating that they would never, ever, ever think it's valid for one white person to describe the white experience? Like, you could never turn what they do to us back onto them. They would never accept it. They'd be like, oh, but we're all different. You could be from here, you could be from there, you could be from here. We're all different. One of us could never speak for all of us, but they don't even see it that way when they're looking at.
But that's why I be like, they be talking about us because they don't want to talk about themselves. They not that interesting. The colonizers aren't that interesting. Shout out to my boy Petey, who'll be like, they don't got that sauce. You know what I mean? So like, that's why they got to talk about us. As much. Look, however you feel about Cardi B, she be saying some refranes that you be like, yo, like, get my name out your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, why? I think a lot of times white comedians have to talk about other races because as the colonizer, the only culture you know is the culture you've co-opted. But it is incredibly frustrating. And I don't want to cut into your time, so I'm going to give you your time because I know we have we
could talk forever.
No, we're comadres, which, by the way, talk about colonizers. So, like, I think I posted a video of you and I put, like, #comadres and, someone in the chat goes, you misspelled comrades. Because they didn't know what comadres meant.
That's right. They're like, I'm going to explain to you what you're trying to say.
There it goes. But yes, please take the forum. You have the time. I'm going to laugh because I love you, and also I'm a laugher. So Guys, if you don't know, this is Bethany Van Delft, The Moth, HBO, my heart, more importantly, just a perfect human being. Please take the stage.
Perfect human being. Oh my God. Stop smoking weed before these shows.
It's
Um,
not weed. It's something else, but it's not weed.
oh God, why don't we live in the same city?
Soon, my
One day.
love, we'll be
One
together.
day. One day. Hudson Valley Parkway. So I already told you my mother is Puerto Rican. We had Mother's Day. Mother's Day was beautiful. The kids made me breakfast and they let me eat it because they do shit for me. They make me stuff, but then they take it over. So they got the colonizer in them. Me and my mother we did a visit in the backyard. My mother is vaccinated, but my kids are not. So we did a nice open air visit in the backyard, and she got her first hug from them for what, 14 months? How long was this
Oh,
pandemic?
that's amazing.
It was beautiful. And she loves her grandkids, a Puerto Rican grandmother, right? She loves them so much. She loves me too. But it's how my kids love Dunkin' Donuts. That's how she loves me, right? My kids' most favorite strawberry glazed sprinkle covered donut in the whole fucking world comes from Dunkin' Donuts. So they love Dunkin' Donuts by default. So I'm my mom's Dunkin' Donuts. But she loves me. She loves me. She's the kind of mom that she is has really taught me the kind of mom I want to be to my kids, Like, I want to be the kind of mom that you could just like walk into a Duane Reade or a CVS and just find a Mother's Day card like that, right? My mother is a revolutionary social activist, and she's been that way my whole life. It's not new, 2020. She's been this way my whole entire life. So it was like crazy hard to find an appropriate Mother's Day card for her. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you're thinking this, but some people are like, "Oh my God, was that like a weird way to grow up?" It's not. It's regular. It's just like the way everybody else grows up, but like little tiny changes. You know what I mean? Like maybe your friends came over your house and you guys played hide and seek. Like my mother's friends came to our house and they played hide and go to Canada. So like similar. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, like maybe your mom took you to the zoo, right? To see the exotic white tigers. My mom took us to the prison to see the angry Black Panthers. So there's like a lot of parallel lives, right? We have pets. Everybody has, or a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people have pets when they're growing up with like super silly names. We also had pets with very silly names, but my mom named them, So we had a German Shepherd named Karl Barks. And we had a Siamese cat named Meow Setung.
Yes.
Which I feel it's cool. I get it. It's cheeky, but I think it might be a little racist. I'm not sure. We had a black cat named Proletariat, okay? Because the product of her labor was sold for a profit by the owner of the means of production. And that's the only thing I've ever done that makes my mom proud is I wrote that joke. And nobody laughs at it, but she gives me a hug.
No, it's fantastic.
Like, Viva la raza! Every time I come up with it, so.
It's a fantastic joke. I feel like if you don't get laughs at that at the club, it's because they don't understand what the message you dropping.
I so rarely get a laugh at that joke that it gives my husband irritable bowel syndrome. Every time he hears the setup, he's like, and you can hear like the bubbles in his intestines. He's like, why do you keep doing that? I'm like, because I can't not. So yeah, so I don't know, think about it. There's no cards. What? Hallmark doesn't make a card for my mom, I can't find a card at Duane Reade that says, "Dear Mommy, thank you for all the love and support you show the disenfranchised, oppressed masses. I'm one too. Pay attention to me. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy." Like, there's no card like that. So, do you want me to keep going?
Absolutely.
All right. Yes, I'm a mom now. I'm now a mom myself. I'm super tired all the time. I thought that was like some kind of cliche, like hack cliche that you're tired all the time once you're a mom, but I am. It's always a different reason too, you know, like today I'm tired because last night I was trying to get to bed early and I walked past my kid's bedroom and I heard the craziest sound coming from the bedroom. It was like it sounded like a really long bong hit, right? And so I wasn't worried. I was just nostalgic. So I went in the bedroom to see what was happening, right? And it was my son. He had a little bit of congestion. You know, his allergies are acting up and stuff. So I just sat with him for a little while, rubbing his little back. And at one point in the night, he just started coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. So I was up all night waiting for him to be like, yo, I'm gonna be so high and pass me his bong. But I know that is ridiculous. I know it. He's 4 years old, right? He doesn't share. So, so yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but it doesn't matter. Like I have my own weed. I definitely, yes, I smoke weed. And a Gen Z was like, oh my God, I can't believe you still smoke weed at your age. And I was like, how do you think I made it? Duh. Um, I do it not to be cool. You know, I do it because I have a ton of anxiety. I'm just a crazy anxious person and it really helps. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if you know astrology, but Virgos have a lot of anxiety. Also, I don't believe in that stuff because Virgos only believe in science. So I smoke a lot of weed. Um, I I am so like I worry about absolutely everything. When I gave birth to my daughter, to my first child, I was worried that I was not feeling the right thing. Okay? Um because like I always heard new moms go, "Oh my God, when I saw my baby, it was love at first sight." Right? But when I saw my baby, it felt like a drunk hookup. You know what I'm saying? Like I look down, there's just a complete fucking stranger right there, right between my legs, who's just been all up in my shit. And like we're not even Facebook friends. And I wanted to get out of there, right? And then she started sucking on my boob, and I was like, no, no, no. Okay. We live together now, and it's fine. It's going really good. It's fine. We wanted to give her a sibling, you know, and but we had, you know, me and my husband had a really hard time getting pregnant. Me because I'm older, and my husband because he's a man. Um, and we wanted another baby so bad. We did IVF, okay, in vitro fertilization, and it's really expensive. So we financed him. All right. So through the miracle of science and good credit, we have a son too. We have two babies. We have siblings. Yay. We also have a car payment, a mortgage, and a baby payment. But we're so grateful. And in debt, it's really it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. He was colicky, which I believe is a medical term that doctors use for, I don't know why he's screaming, but you got to pay me. So that's it. He would scream and scream and scream and scream and scream and scream and scream. And sometimes I'd be up rocking him at like 4 a.m. thinking, should we just have gotten the Mercedes C300? I mean, right? Because if your car screams all day, it was about the same price. And if your car was acting like that, right? If your car was just like screaming all fucking day and night, you would get rid of it, right? Zella, you would get rid of that car, wouldn't you?
I
You
would,
would
yes.
you get rid of it,
It
right?
would give me great anxiety. I'd get rid of it.
Get rid of that car. So at one point, I stopped making the baby payment, but they don't repo babies. So I
Woo!
still have my son. Yay. But it affects how we parent. You know what I mean? Like this whole pandemic, I was like, he cannot catch COVID. He is not even fucking paid off yet, you know? And it's just, it would be a waste of money. he has paid off now. It's good. That's it.
First of all, fantastic set, Bethany. Give it up for Bethany Van Delft. At Artisanal Comedy on Venmo if you want to tip her, because she's a fantastic person. But so you're done with your set. Is it okay? We have a great follow-up. If you're watching, I don't think y'all ready for the DJ, but I'm going to talk with you real quick. But the DJ, Radio Ramsés and La Meli, they're fantastic. So I don't know if y'all better stick around is what I'm saying, because they're great. But before we let go of the stream, shout out to New Light and Wave for having us, for programming this amazing thing, for connecting Latinx comedians like Fabrizio and Bethany together, because that's what's going to help fortify the community, is if we all get our forum to all make fun of our races and make Puerto Rico jokes. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about my experience. Well, first and foremost, I love therapy. I'm a big fan of therapy. Shout out to therapy for holding it down. But whenever I tell people that I went to therapy for anger management, the first thing out their mouth is like, well, of course, you're Puerto Rican. As if Puerto Ricans are the angriest people on the planet. And I'm deeply bothered by this, because if you've ever met a Puerto Rican from the island, they're mad chill. So if the Puerto Ricans you encounter in America are always angry, is that a problem with Puerto Rico or more a problem with America? Because I feel like the reason why I go to anger management is because I'm a New Yorker. You get what I mean? It's completely removed from my Puerto Rican-ness. I don't know if that's a word. But I talk at length about therapy. And the other day, I kind of felt like someone made an Instagram post or a Facebook post that was about me. I don't. It could be because I'm crazy. I'm like, oh my God, is that about me? But anyway, someone watched my show, and then the next day, I talked at length about therapy. So they watched my show. I talked at length about therapy, and then the next day, their Facebook update was, all of y'all talk about how therapy is so important, but Jesus didn't go to therapy. So do we really need therapy? And all I wanted to tell this person is, of course, Jesus didn't go to therapy, because how do you work out your daddy issues if daddy always listening? You know what I mean? Like, you can't be talking trash on your daddy when your daddy's got to the therapist, because when you're like, isn't he wrong? Isn't this why I don't like hugs? They're going to be like, say 4 Hail Marys and Our Father. You know what I mean? They're going to try to save your ass is what I'm saying. So that's why Jesus didn't go to therapy. But Bethany, so I go to therapy, and my therapist, I like to call her La Helen. Helen is a saint. First and foremost, Helen, a saint. My therapist, I've changed her name because Hippocratic oath, pero La Helen, okay? La Helen does this wonderful thing. She wears, I've seen her multiple times. She wears a Star of David on some appointments. She wears a cross on other appointments. Sometimes she has the crescent moon and star. And I feel like she like a sentient coexist sticker. You feel me? Like, she's just trying to be like, yo, whatever your deal is, I got you. I'm the perfect therapist. Shout out to La Helen. She's not watching because she's done with me. The sessions are enough. But the number one thing, so the reason I started going to therapy is because in 2016, after the election, I shall not say his name, but I had a very hard time. I remember I lived in Bushwick, Knickerbocker stop, and I would get down from the Knickerbocker elevated train, right, walking. This is my act out. And there's Tony's the pizza shop, and they had a giant LED screen in the pizzeria, because that's a new thing, I guess, and they constantly have Fox News on. So every time I would get off the train, the first thing I would see when I got my home, is Trump's face. And it deeply bothered me. Like, I couldn't handle the fact that that was okay, that it was allowed. I felt like I was looking at everybody. I'm like, we just gonna be okay with this. And I didn't feel like anybody got me. So someone recommended La Helen. And so I go initially to La Helen to talk about politics. But then, sorpresa, right? Like, que surprise, woo, it's you. It's actually, yes, politics, but it's also you. There's some work to be done. So one of the things she helped me with is my temper, which is that I used to get very frustrated. First of all, I'm an angry crier. I know. Shout out to the angry criers. I love you. We good. We just crying whenever people. I'm an angry crier. I swear. So real quick, Bethany, for a little bit of story. I have papi issues. You know, people have daddy issues. I have papi issues, and that's because my father's mistress called the house when my mother was pregnant and told her that she wanted the baby to die. My mother goes into labor, and that's how you get a Zilla.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so I was born with daddy issues, right?
Not on you. That's not on you.
No, that's not on me. That's not on me. So I had a temper, though. You know, I come from a long line of people that sleep with bats behind their bed and don't talk about grief. Did you notice? I feel like grief is the new sex in that. Remember in the 90s, it was like, let's talk about sex, baby. I feel like the real taboo topic is talking about grief and loss, but that's for another day. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for that. But
They don't have La Helen. That's why.
La Helen, you need a
need
La
La
Helen in your
Helen
life.
to-
Get a therapist. But real quick, the one thing that she taught me is that whenever you are posed with someone who is oppositional or wants to engage with you in a way that is negative and or toxic, you have the right to opt out. Which is the like for me, for a person like my mother is the kindest, most generous person. Will give you the shirt off of her back, the arroz con pollo from the caldero. She will give you everything. But if you cut her in line in the supermarket, she is going to beat your ass. Like, you know, I come from that level of peoples. So to manage my anger was really awesome. And I'm out in the real world, post La Helen, and I get on the train recently, which is all very, like, nervous, right? Because we're also nervous about the pandemic and going back out. And I accidentally bumped into a woman on the train, and she turned around and she was like, "You want some of this?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm good." Yo, because La Helen, let me tell you something. You know, you used to learn the stories. It was if you are faced with danger, you have the option to fight or flight, right? But guess what, baby? If you go to therapy, you can also politely decline. Did you know that? That's what separates us from the animals. That's why you don't see that on planet Earth. You know what I mean? That's what makes us the next level, is that we can just be like, no, I'm good. I'm sure your life is hard enough. I don't want to get my eyes scratched out on the J train. That is, you know. But anyway, Bethany, can we take a moment to end the show? Shout out to New Latin Wave, Sokio, Amanda, Melly, we love you. Thank you guys for giving us comedians the rare opportunity to really strut our stuff when it comes to our identity. How do you feel, Bethany? Take us home. Did you have fun?
Thank you Zilla. Thank you so much for having me. I don't even know where to look right now because I'm looking at you.
She can't see me. Y'all can see me on
I can
the
see you
stream.
on the stream. Yeah, I'm looking at you on the stream, but then I'm also trying to look at you in the camera. Zilla, I love you. Thank you for having me.
Oh.
New Latin Wave. Thank you for embracing me, even though I have colonizer DNA. It's so important. It's so important to be loved by my community. This is so dope. I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on all the things you're on, and I hope I can come back. And this was amazing, and thank you for doing what you do.
So, speaking of, yes, shout out to New Latin Wave. Follow them on all platforms. Bethany, drop your socials.
Across socials at Bethany Van Delft, VANDELFT. That's some colonizer shit. Look, it's like, you see it right there, just like that. Bethany Van Delft with a little at. Across platforms, that's me. And I also got a comedy show on Instagram Live Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Artisanal comedy. Check it out.
Shout out to Artisanal Comedy. Also, you on PBS Nova, just look her up because she's doing a little bit of everything. So she got at least one of the things she does is applicable to your life. Thank you so much for joining us. And I just have to tell you before we go that your background reminds me of when I used to listen to the Waiting Exhale soundtrack because I was a little emo child. There's a Brandy track called Sitting Up in My Room. I feel like you are in this beautiful, positive, love-filled room that Brandy was writing about. So thank you for visiting us. And shout out to Sokio in the not actually Anne Frank house. That is not Sokio, Fabrizio. Fabrizio's saying that he was in the Anne Frank house is not a reflection of New Latin Wave and or its proprietors. Don't get it twisted. It was jokes.
And he also didn't buy a window. Just in case anybody didn't correlate.
Oh, you starting a what's that called? A little like was a conspiracy theory.
Okay, no.
That's a fake window conspiracy theory. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Stick around once again for the fantastic stream with Melly and Radio Ramsés. And stick around for New Line Wave content. They're always bringing you something new and fresh. And the comedians who performed tonight, we all love you. We got love for you. Show us some love, and we will show love back. We are trying our best. Bethany, you are fantastic. Thank you so much.